The new Maimer, it's in, it's one page. It's actually an important summary because it highlights the Chiddush of the Maimer really, and that is Al Tzivoisa. They didn't able to accomplish all this because of the neshama rooted higher even than Torah. Okay, this is the Fabrenga, the Maimer was kein sicher. In other words, they said it in the like you would say a sicher, but it's a Maimer. It's called the Maimer kein sicher. So this was the Fabrenga right after Yud Shvat.
Sorry, just a technical question here.
Yeah.
How did they know it was mine?
I was just thinking that.
Because
I'm saying like it maybe it was a sikha.
no, it was said as a sicher, but it works like this. The Rebbe would start with the pasuk. Sicher doesn't start with the pasuk. It's just questions on the pasuk. It's a pure it's A. So it just if you didn't, the only difference is just the way it's said.
Right.
But the way the whole mivna, the way it's built like a maimer. It's obvious different than a sicher. Starting with the pasuk, etc. And it's a pure beer in Chassidus as opposed to Rashi, Rambam, or anything else. So these two things starts with the pasuk, and it's a pure beer up Chassidus.
And we have any tradition why he would do
We don't know why. It was a later. This is Tafshin Chav. In the later years, it was much more common. In later years, there was no Maimorim in the Shabbos Fabrengens, but there was always a Maimer Kein Sicha in the Mems. Almost always. Why? We could just venture the guess. I don't know.
You're saying there's no Chassidish
There is a kind of a thing. I never heard it. I'm just saying my own thing. But just before I answer this, there's another interesting thing we find. That in the very early years, so the niggin of the Maimer, the whole, continued till the end of the Maimer. Maimer till the end. Then a little bit later, the last paragraph started to be like a sicher. And it got longer. Sometimes, in the later years, the last part was like a good few minutes. So what's the inyan? The chod of the inyan is, it's bringing it mamshich at the mata. Maimer is mamish the Rebbe is in the whatever. You can see it's in a different state. Sicha is amshach al mata. So therefore, the end of the Maimer was said in the way of a sicha l'chura. This is the explanation. He's being mamshich dinyan in the world, bringing it down, and that's also perhaps you can apply that as well, if this explanation is correct, to the Maimer, the sicha kein Maimer. Same thing. It's a Maimer Chassidus, but he's saying it in Maimer kein sicha in a way of a regular talk, and it's not less, it's more. It's being mamshich the inyan the mat. Now there could be and probably is much more to this, and this may be wrong altogether, but just my suggestion. Okay, so this you'll see it's a very short maimer because you'll see why. So b'siyata the Shabbos Parshas B'Shalach, there was a Fabrengen in between Yud Shvat. No, this was the first Fabrengen after Yud Shvat. No, Yud Shvat was Fabrengen Yud Aleph Shvat, and then the Fabrengen to B'Shvat that year. This is Parshas B'Shalach. Yikonef merecha. So one of the prophecies that no longer will your teacher be covered, shall be revealed, concealed. That Rebbe explains in one of his what's called short Maimarim, because they were short Maimarim, and in brackets, the point is that Rebbe is sharing it as it were, because it hadn't been published yet. It was subsequently published later, we're told in the footnote. As we'll read together. But first, this is in a book of the collection of Maimarim from those years, which had not been published. So the Rebbe is now sharing it by the Fabrengen. There's those Maimarim of those years, there are Maimarim that have been printed, and a good part which have not yet been printed. Within the ones unpublished as of yet, this 1960, there are long ones and short ones. And out of two, they say that eventually this was published. Okay. So what does the Alter Rebbe say? So the pasuk is saying, "Yikonef." Yikonef means like a garment. It's a garment. No longer will your master be veiled in a garment. Shin alavush. What's a lavush? Hazen em of Yikonef. That's the meaning of Yikonef. Shelo yiskas mimcha beknaf lavush. He will not be covered anymore. It means a wing, really, literally. And a wing, covers the body of the bird. So no longer will he be covered, Hashem, with a garment with a garment. Shuhu. So he said like this. He said the Alter Rebbe. The inyan of lavush is miyapes apnimius. So a lavush makes beautiful lashon yafeh. The pnimius, the inner. And he gives two illustrations. Like a fool. So he says words, wise words, that he received from a chacham. But he's still a fool. But Yid Melekayel Shel Chacham Gadol, he will appear like to everybody else. He's a chacham because his garment, his external expression is wise. Or another example. Adam Rabbi Etzem, a person who's a miserable person by nature. He does something good. So people will assume, they'll think that he's actually a good guy, but he's not. So what does this illustrate? This is the upshot of levushim. This is the power of garments. And what are the garments of the nefesh? The yapa says to make beautiful, to dress up the inner koiches, which may not be so nice, so pleasant. And a third example, a very ugly person, who wears beautiful garments, beautiful clothes, they really make him look good, even though he's hideous. So that's b'chalal dinyan of levushim. What's the pasuk saying? La'asid lavai. It's referring when Mashiach will come. No longer will your teacher be dressed in a garment. The meaning is this is all the Alter Rebbe. And the Rebbe is going to elaborate in a moment. Your teacher, your guide, we understand what's the guide within the person, what drives him, his emotions and his intellect. So then there's no need they'll not be needed to be enhanced and prettied up with external garments. They will be refined, and there's no need to dress them up in garments.
The muscle doesn't fit the nimsa. I mean, the Torah.
Wait, that was going to explain it. Wait a minute. We're going to learn to explain it. What's your question?
Here, the problem with mayapping something that's not nice. But here, are we saying that also applies to Hashem? We're getting emanations of things that are not really nice?
No. First of all, he said merecha goes on your own nefesh, your seichel and midas. Talking about the person.
Are we talking about
That's where he teaches merecha.
But who?
Your guide, your inner guides, your mind and your heart. That's how the Alter Rebbe is teaching the pasuk.
It's nothing to do with the mashpia.
Not the Eibishter. The Pshat is, and that's how Chassidus often quotes it, that Hashem will be revealed. But here the taich is Meirecha, your inner guide. Okay, Vidal, the Alter Rebbe concludes Vidai Lemevin, that stands for it's enough this is enough for the discerning. Don't have to elaborate. The Rebbe adds Ad Kan Teichen HaMaimer. So this is the content of the Maimer, and now the Rebbe is going to explain it. Yeah. David, you taking notes? The matter is as follows: the main avoid. This whole point of Tanya. The whole point of Tanya is what? That you may not and will not, in all likelihood, change the way you feel about anything, but behaviorally you can. That's the area of avodah which is granted to everyone to behave. And behave we mean not only just action, but also words, and even what I choose to think about will be drawn to and attracted by Olam Hazeh. Will have all the weaknesses that the Rasha does. The difference is that the Beini has summoned the conviction, the wherewithal not to act on it. That's the whole point of Beini of Tanya, is to tell us how we can summon this conviction. The two tracks, till Perek Yud Ches, and then from Perek Yud Ches, it's all how every person is capable of having this deep conviction. No matter what, he won't cross the line. But in terms of internal change, no. But what the Alter Rebbe says, that it's possible, perhaps, through great effort, through being impregnated, that's the words of the Alter Rebbe from Kabbalah, by the neshama of a tzaddik, he could feed off a tzaddik and have some kind of internal transformation. But even that won't be his. But Akoponim, that's the whole point of Tanya. That's what he's saying here too. He's saying here that internally you're a miserable creature, petty and jealous and so on, and prone to anger and fits of rage. Should we keep on describing ourselves? That's enough. But no excuse. This can be controlled. And the point that he's saying so far is, not only does it control, it makes you beautiful. It's miyapim. The garments connect. The net result is, a nice guy, at least behaviorally. And that's all that's asked. Now the Rebbe is going to elaborate. So the Ikar Aveda today, is behavioral. But we are expected to control what we consciously want to think about. Again, I just want to point out, control your thoughts. We have to distinguish between the impulse and the conscious thought. You can't control the impulse. You got to feel this in your head. You're drawn. But the next second, when we become aware this is a sinful thought, we do have the ability to turn our thoughts elsewhere and think about something else. Very difficult, but possible. So the impulse not, but then the rumination, the fantasy, the thinking about it, that yes. But the avodah is thought, speech, and action. We are not expected to transform the emotions, the actual feelings, and to want elikus and so on, and to despise averis. That's the tzaddik. And certainly not to elevate the mind, that the mind itself is only directed towards understanding elikus and no other interest at all. And moreover, Bir Ramoichin means a mind that's completely purified of agenda. Completely. Just pure, wanting the truth and a likus. Not using the mind for any other machinations. So the purification of the mind, the heart and the mind, that's going to be when Mashiach comes. That's when the land of Israel will be fully expanded to its full borders, including the three lands on the east. The east of the Jordan, that's Ammon, Moav, and Edom, or also called Kini, Knisi, and Kadmoni, which correspond to Chachma bin and Das, and then we'll have the full land of Israel, reflecting that then will be a Molar, it's Deus Hashem, the pursuit of the whole world to be nothing other than to know God, and that'll be then. Of course, we have Chassidus before that as a bridge in preparation for that, but it's only a preparation. The actual Avodah will be then. And in addition, then will be the completely conquering of the seven lands on the west side of the Jordan, which, tragically we are constantly compromising and surrendering. But Shazel Bir Zaina Midas corresponds to there was a land occupied by 7 tribes or 7 nations. That's corresponding to the 7 Midas. So that's going to be then. Even though nowadays so the chiddush of the Alter Rebbe is that even though the avodah now is only external behavior, the garments speak like a Jew, act like a Jew, think like a Jew, become mokem. He's the Alter Rebbe saying that the same way that garments enhance the person, there is some effect and there is some beautification, as it were, of our inner self, the midas of Moishe. That's now. But the pasuk quoted is about Lasid Lovei. V'lo Yikonef oid meracha. No need for garments anymore. Yazen nema shel Lasid Lovei lo Yikonef oid meracha. But in the future, there's no need for your guides. Shtateb explained. Who are the inner guides of a person? What drives them? Again, mind and heart. So then, shel Lasid Lovei lo yitztarucha midas v'amoichin. Will no longer will the emotions and the intellect required dressing up. Meirecha, your guides, li'siapus, to be beautified, belevushim, in garments of machshava dibur ma'asek. But bisman, like today, we have to dress them up. No need. They will be naturally, refined, and it'll come from within. Given and the machshava dibur ma'asek will naturally express what it is that I feel within. Then the emotions and the mind will be refined and elevated, so no need to dress them up with externally acquired appropriate behavior. It'll come naturally from within. Clear? Turn the page. Now the Rebbe continues in the beer. Why does the Alter Rebbe bring 3 mishalim? He actually brings 3. The end he brings some ugly person, but they're only addresses the first 2. What does he bring 2? In the beginning of the Maim, at least. Moshel Aleph, 1 is Meish Shoiter, fool, Shemadaber Diburim Shel Chochma, that speaks wise words. Moshel Abei is Modem Ra, a bad person, Sheoise Maisa Tov, does good things. The matter is as follows: Kedua.
The third one is not.
Yeah, these ones he's bringing from the Levushe Nefesh, right? So
The third one was an ugly person.
with the Levushim Begashmi, this he's talking about now. He's talking about Levushe Nefesh, the Shabbat Meiser. So it makes sense that every time.
All right. Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's not a midah.
Right. Yeah. It's known, but the Rambam writes in the guide for the perplexed that the human being has 2 compartments, or not 2 compartments. No, let's rephrase that. I'm sorry. The life, b'chlal. So there's two dimensions to life, and that is emes and sheker. It's true or false. Binary in the computer works this way. Interestingly enough, right? Everything in the computer it boils down to on or off. You get subtle and subtler, but that's what it is. This way, that way. Or emes and sheker. V'toivara, good or bad. Now, of the distinctions between them, amongst the distinctions, Shavdol ben emes v'sheki, distinction between what's right and what's wrong, true and false. Hal yidei haseichel, intellect is what discerns what's true and what's false. And this existed even before the sin of the tree of knowledge. Hashem granted a person intellect. He was given the ability to distinguish between true and false. That he could choose between that which is connected to godliness, shehem emes, which is true, as God the Lord is true, and choose between that which is not bound up with godliness, that they present a lie. What's of course the big lie? The lie of independence, which is not true. So let's get this clear. True and false is discerned by what? By by intellect, by the understanding. Whereas good and bad is an emotional thing, he says. Let's see inside. Mashenking in the Tevara, good and bad is how it makes you feel. Feels good, bad. So that is Chadash Aydei Chetetz Hadas, only after they sinned in the sin itself was that, and that became now the reality. She'oz dis Chadash Klolis Inyan Hergesh Vatayva. So it's like this. Till the Chetetz Hadas, the whole avodah was simply to know what's right.
Which was
Seichel,
which was not to eat from the food, I mean from the.
Well,
That, I'm saying back then that was just not to eat from the fruit of. That was the right thing to do.
right. To see the world as nullified to Hashem, to understand that the world is nullified to Hashem, and and rationally to see that sheker is a sense of independence.
Elikus or not elikus?
Elikus or not elikus? What does it mean? It means again to see. You're looking at the world, to see it be'emes as bound up with elikus, or to see and to expose the lie, or to see a lie of any sense of independence. That's not true. There's no independence. Everything is bound up with the likus. The emes says that the world is not independent. The world is one with the likus. That's the truth.
There was no right or wrong before. It was only emes and sheker.
I mean,
Are we talking
in generally, there's a right and wrong there. It's right that the world is, but so the chlol is the same thing. But when we distinguish, emes and sheker is the world of seichel, and right and wrong is the world of the heart. As he says now. Let's see what he says inside a second. What was this chadash by Chetetz Hadas? Hergesh, Taiver. It's a different battle. This isn't the battle of the simply discerning what's the truth and what's not the truth. But this is the heart. Shaz this chadash kol sin hergesh va Taiver, shemitzad zeh shayich ha'inyan de Taivera. So here already there's a new battle, and the battle is the battle of what's good and what's bad.
Or you said before. You said before.
Let's think this through,
What feels good and what feels bad.
Because
The heart, right.
yeah,
Does that
because-
mean toiv is what feels good, or toiv is what's right?
depends for what. That's the point. What feels good? Why did she do the Aveda? Because Toivu Li'anaim, it was appealing. It described Chisaivahu Li'anaim, actually that's the term. It was desireful. So are we going to give in to the negative desires? That's bad. Or the good desires, which is good? And this is not a rational. Again, we're going to be guided by Seichel. But the struggle, it's like, make it very simple. The first struggle is like the scientist. You're not emotionally involved here. The scientist in the laboratory, and you're trying to arrive at which formula works. So if you go rationally and you just pursue logic, you'll arrive at the right conclusion. There's no great emotional battle here. It's just to objectively seek the truth, and it's completely separate from anything personal. It's not personal. It's objective truth. It's a result of Chetetz Hadas. It's not simply what's emes and what's not emes. It's a personal battle. Where am I going to find my pleasure? In good things or in bad things? And therefore, the victory, to achieve victory, is not going to help in Seichel necessarily. That you know the emes. You need das. Chachma and Bina, just knowing the emes, is not going to cut it. You have to apply it to the heart. The therefore. That's not intellectual. That's not part of the intellectual process. That's just personalizing it to the midas. It's a whole new struggle. the word das actually, therefore, no, in the Chet das, there was the whole thing, Lord, by eating this, then you'll be Lord das. That's what the Nachash said, you'll be like Hashem, and he employs the word das. But this is now bringing you down into the world of, the sensual world of feeling. It's a whole new struggle. Continue tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem.
The avoid, I guess, is to have the Tov line up with the Emes and the...
Which has to, you have to go deeper than Seichel. That's the Mesiras Nefesh, higher than Seichel. Das is rooted in Pnimis HaKeser, which is that's a Nefesh. To overcome Taivus is not enough a discourse and an intellectual understanding. The Taivus is going to win out every day. It has to come from a much deeper place, and that's Das. The Maimon doesn't go to these pratim, but this is all related. We'll continue tomorrow in Mitzvah Hashem.